Be'ezrat Hashem, Naaseh v'Natzliach. I want to welcome you to another session of our Parashat Shavua learning here at Sharone Lankry. This week's Parashat is Parashat Tezave. Just to give you a little bit of a summary, Parashat Truma and Parashat Tezave are just filled with details of the articles that the Jewish people were going to donate for the building of the Mishkan. It starts in Parashat Truma. It says, Hashem tells Moshe, Daber el Bnei Israel v'ikchu li Truma. Let the Jewish people come and give me a donation. Me'et kol ish whatever their heart desire, tikchu trumati. There should be a donation. And what is the Truma? And it says over there, gold, silver, copper, all these different types of turquoise, wool, goat hair. It has over there also orat tahashim, atzei shitim, special woods, special leathers. Welcome, Yudit. Shemen lamaor, all these different things. And then there's a famous pasuk, pasuk chavhei. I'm sorry, perek chavhei, pasuk tet. I'm sorry, chet. Va'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham. And let them make for me a sanctuary, and I will reside amongst them. And then when you go into Parashat Tezave, this week's parasha, it talks about all the articles that need to be donated in order to make up the apparel of the Kohen. As it says over there, V'ata tetzaveh et bnei Yisrael, now command the Jewish people, V'yikchu elai shemen zayit zach katit hama'od, that they should donate pure oil in order to light the menorah. And then it talks about bringing Aharon and his children closer in order so they can be anointed to be a Kohanim. Aharon, Nadav, Avihu, Elazar, Itamar, Bnei Aharon, and all the Bigdei Kodesh. And then it says over there, and then Lekacho Lechamoli, Ve'elu Abegadim, and then it goes into a long list of things that pertain to the Kehuna. Now, what's interesting about these two parashiyot, even though that they look like a checklist of things you would go and get, like a shopping list. I need gold, I need silver, I need wool, I need crimson, I need oil, I need all these different things. This is for the Kohen, this is for the Mishkan, this is for the altar, this is for the sanctuary. All these different things. What's interesting about it? One pasuk. Va'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham. Let them make for me a sanctuary. They shall make a sanctuary for me, so I may dwell amongst them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment that's 2,448 years in the making. As a matter of fact, I would say even longer than that. Okay? Because we're talking about, you know what? We'll leave it at that. 2,448 years in the making. And why would that be? Midrash Tanchuma is going to explain it to us. In Parashat Naso, Siman Tet Zayin, it talks about something very, very interesting. It says, "B'sha'ah shebarah HaKadosh Baruch Hu et ha'olam, nit'ava sheyeh lo dira b'tachtonim kmo sheyesh ba'elyonim." When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, He desired that He should have a dwelling place in the heavens and below, just the same. Just like He has a place to dwell in the heavens, it should be an appropriate place for Hashem to dwell here below amongst us in this world. So, in the beginning of time, the same way that Hashem is in the high heavens, whether He was in the high heavens or right here in Miami, right here in Eretz Yisrael, right here on this planet, was the exact same thing. In the Shamayim and in the Aretz, identical. However, when He created man, when He created Adam HaRishon, and He commanded him, אמר לו, מכל עץ הגן יכול תאכל, ומעץ הדת טוב ורע, לא תאכל ממנו. He told him you can eat from any tree in the garden, except for the tree טוב ורע, עץ הדת טוב ורע, ועבר ציוויו. And the one instruction that Adam HaRishon was instructed not to do, he did. The one thing that He told him don't do, he did do. So he sinned. So as soon as the first human, the first man to ever be created sinned, HaKadosh Baruch Hu went from the dwelling place of this earth, and He went one level higher away from us. As you know, there are 7 heavens, and there's also seven layers in the earth, meaning there's 7 worlds beneath us, and there's 7 heavens above us. Here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu went from being here to one level away from us because of the sin of Adam HaRishon. Comes Cain and kills Hevel, and now God's holy presence went from the first Rakia to the second Rakia, from the first heaven to the second heaven, from the first skies to the second sky. Well, again, we have 7 heavens. So he went now, Adam HaRishon pushed him away one, Cain killing Hevel pushed him away to the second one. Amad dor Enosh v'echis efanav nistalka mino sheni l'shishi. Comes the generation of Enosh, which is the first generation to do avodah zara, and he went from the second heaven to the third heaven. Amad dor Mabul v'ishchid darko nistalka mishlishi revi. Comes the generation of the flood, and they went completely in the wrong direction of mankind is supposed to go, and Hashem got even more far away, even more distant from the third heaven to the fourth heaven. Dora Palaga Nidga'a Nistalka Mirevi Lachamishi. Comes the generation of dispersion. We spoke about it last week. The generation of the Tower of Babylon, that they wanted to what? Build a tower to go and fight Hashem. Hashem went from the fourth heaven to the fifth heaven. Sedomim Kilkelu Nistalka Min HaChamishi L'Shishi. Come the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, and what happens over there? They pushed God's presence away from the fifth heaven now to the sixth heaven. Amdu Amarfel v'chaverav. Came Amarfel. Who's Amarfel? Amarfel is another name for Nimrod and his evil cohorts. And God's holy presence went from the sixth heaven to the seventh heaven. So we see, in a matter of a few generations, God had Dira B'Tachtonim. He was actually living in the same way that He has a place in the heavens. He created the world that He can have Dira B'Tachtonim. But the actions of man pushed him away from Adam, Cain v'Hevel, the generation of Enosh, the generation of the flood, the generation of Dora Palaga, the generation of dispersion. Then we have the Sodom and Gomorrah, and then we had Nimrod. Who's going to bring Hashem back to have a dwelling in this world? Who was the first one to start the tikkun? Avraham Avinu. Avraham started to spread monotheism in the world. He was the first one to starting to promote one God, one creator in the world. And he had such a tremendous amount of acts of kindness. He went from the seventh heaven to the sixth heaven in the merit of Avraham. Amad Yitzchak u'pashat tzavaro al gabei hamizbeach yared b'shishi l'chamishi. When Yitzchak opened up his neck and was really ready to get offered as a sacrifice, Nakedat Yitzchak, he brought back God's holy presence from the sixth heaven to the fifth heaven. Yaakov min chamishi levi. Yaakov brought it from the fifth to the fourth. Levi, the son of Yaakov, was able to bring it from fourth to third. Kehat, the son of Levi, the grandson of Yaakov, was able to bring it from Shlishi L'Sheni, from the third to the second. Amram, the father of Moshe, who is the son of Kehat, whose grandfather is Levi, and great-grandfather is Yaakov, was able to bring it from the second to the first. Amad Moshe ve'orida la'aretz, shene'emar vayered Hashem al har Sinai. Comes Moshe Rabbeinu, was able to bring God's holy presence from the second rakia, from the first rakia all the way to Har Sinai, and finally Hashem has a place to reside in the world again. 2,448 years in the making, this moment of Hashem bringing His holy presence to be in the Mishkan. When I read this Midrash, I was very impressed with a few people. Besides that we have the Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, which was almost like a given. But Levi, wow. Levi, wow, the son of Yaakov. Kehat, you hear so little about him. Amram, the father of Moshe, these were spiritual giants that brought God from one rakia to another. Kal v'chomer Moshe. We understand Moshe, but those were a big surprise to me. Now, What this means is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says the world, or at least the Mishkan, the traveling tabernacle where the Jews are, is a proper place for my holy presence. We don't understand at the moment what that means. We've never lived the reality where we're traveling with a Mishkan, with God's holy presence around us. We haven't lived in the reality of a Bet HaMikdash, where we know what it's like when God's holy presence resides in the Holy of Holies, and we're in a city, a town, a country like Jerusalem or Israel, that we have God's holy presence amongst us. My rabbi always, the rabbi in my shul, Rabbi Sharbani, always gives this shmooze on Tisha B'Av. You know, an orphan child that never saw his mother, he doesn't know how to miss a mother. He doesn't know what he's missing. He never met his mother. Similarly is us. We don't know what to miss. If we experience Bet HaMikdash, we could say, "Oy vey, we don't have Bet HaMikdash. We never experienced it. We don't know what we're missing. We don't know what it feels like, what a reality of a world with God's holy presence in it." So even though that the outset of creation was that Hashem has Dira B'Tachtonim, as similar like he has Torah, he has Dira Ba'Elonim, similar like he has his dwelling place in the heavens, identically, similarly, we will have the exact same presence here in the world. We missed out on that for 2,448 years, and finally, Moshe was able to do the last piece of bringing it down to the Mishkan. Now, little interesting side point. Does anybody know what now is? Mamash right now? Zayin Adar. This is the 7th day of Adar. Famously known for what? Moshe's Yortzeit. He was born on this day and he died on this day. It's a big day. You should light a candle tonight or tomorrow and stand in front of that candle and pray that Moshe Rabbeinu be a Melitz Yosher, that you should go and pray on your behalf from the Shamayim and get you out of your Mitzrayim. We all have our personal Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu was a leader that got millions of Jews out of Mitzrayim. So when we have our personal Mitzrayim, it's a good time to stand in front of that candle tonight or tomorrow and think about your personal Mitzrayim. Whether it's a zivug, whether it's parnasah, whether it's health, whether it's going up in spirituality, whether it's like being in simcha, whether it's shlom bayit, raising children, bearing children, whatever it is, stand in front of that candle and say, Hashem, please get me out of my personal Mitzrayim in the schut of Moshe Rabbeinu, who was the leader that was able to get all Am Yisrael out of Mitzrayim. How's that connected to tonight's lesson? Moshe Rabbeinu was born on Shiva B'Adar. Today. This is his birthday. And why is that important? Because it's a hint that on Bashvi'it Shel Adar, on the 7th of Adar, on the Shvi'it Shel Adar. What's Adar? Aleph Dar. שהקדוש ברוך הוא, אלופו של עולם, קבע את דירתו בירידה שביעית בעולם הזה בזכות משה. He says that why was Moshe Rabbeinu born on the 7th of Adar? Because Adar, we did this many times already in the past few weeks, we'll continue, it's a beautiful lesson. Adar is what? Aleph, split it in two. Aleph, Dar. Alufo shel olam, Aleph is Alufo shel olam. By the way, if you want to know why Aleph is Alufo shel olam, because the construction of the letter is a Vav in the middle, Yud on top, and Yud on the bottom. And if you take those letters, Yud has a numerical value of 10, Vav has a numerical value of 6, the bottom Yud is a numerical value of 10, altogether is 26, which corresponds to Alufo shel olam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the word Dar means to live. So Alufo shel olam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu lives with us, or came to live with us in this world, in the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu, who was born on Zayin Adar, which means one, he was the one that was able to bring down from the 7th heaven, who was the last one to bring it down. B'zchut Moshe.
Sharon, can I ask you, did you mention the name Simon ben Aliyah?
I didn't have my list. What I was planning on doing though is to do all the dedications at the end, because I was going to wait for everybody to come and tell it to me, because I didn't bring the paper today.
Okay.
So but for right now, you said this is to the what?
Simon ben Aliyah.
Simon ben Aliyah. This is man.
This is the Haim father.
Okay, so Leilu Nishmat Simon ben Aliyah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we see that Moshe Rabbeinu was born on the 7th Adar, corresponding to the 7th time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came down from the heavens and finally resided amongst us.
And he was born on Shabbat.
Interesting. On Shabbat, 7th day. The Mefarshim have something to say about this pasuk. You always want to pay attention to why things are in plural and singular, or why things start in plural and end in singular, or whatnot. You always want to pay attention to it. So it says, "Va'asu li mikdash," they should make for me a sanctuary. "V'shachanti betocham," and I will reside amongst them. It would have been more proper to say, "Va'asu li mikdash," should create for me a sanctuary. "V'shachanti betocho," and I will be inside of it. Meaning, I'm telling you, build for me a sanctuary, right? And I will reside in it is more proper than saying I'll reside in them. Meaning, it's more appropriate that you tell me build a building and I live inside of it, as opposed to say build a building and I'll live with them. So the rabbis are asking, why doesn't it say that build the building? It would be more appropriate, it would make more sense. Not only that, it says V'asu li mikdash, and they will make for me a mikdash, V'shachanti belashon yachid, meaning that only Hashem is going to reside betoch hamikdash. So it says V'asu, meaning it should have been that V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham belashon rabim. Why is it said in plural? Shemashma'uto betoch klal Yisrael. Hashem is saying, build a sanctuary for me, and I will live inside all of the Jewish people. What does that mean? That as Jews, we have to understand that Hashem doesn't want to take over a building. He doesn't want to take over a tent. He doesn't want to take over brick and mortar and wood. Hashem wants to reside in a different type of sanctuary. Where? Belibo ubetoch beto shekol echad v'echad Yisrael. In the hearts of every Jew. As it says in the Gemara, Rachmana li babai. Hashem wants the heart. In other words, just like God's holy presence resides in the Holy of Holies in Bet HaMikdash, when Bet HaMikdash is with us, similarly, Hashem wants to live the exact same way in your heart. Identical, no difference. Identical, same level, same Shekhinah. How's that possible? Welcome. And as a matter of fact, it's giving us instruction over here to say that as a matter of fact, the main purpose of every Jew is so he could be a proper vessel that God's holy presence resides within him. In other words, if you're waking up in the morning and going to sleep at night, and you're not living out this purpose of making yourself holy, a sanctuary, a proper place for Hashem's holy presence to reside, you're missing out your purpose. You're missing out your purpose because the relationship with God is a very interpersonal relationship. It's not something only the rabbi talks to Hashem. It's not only the big rabbis or the Rosh Yeshivas, they have a relationship with Hashem. The interpersonal relationship with Kadosh Baruch Hu is available to every single person. You just have to be a proper vessel, a proper place for the Shekhinah to come into it. We'll touch on that in a minute. Continues to say, you know, Haman, one of the reasons why he chose the month of Adar in order to attack the Jews is because he was under the opinion that Nisan is the beginning of the year. So when you flew all the way to Adar, it's what? The last month. He says the last month is the darkest. That's where all the sins are there. And not only that, it's a dark month for the Jews. You know why? Because their leader died in Adar. But and it's interesting because wicked people focus on the negative. He focused that Moshe Rabbeinu died on Adar. But he forgot that Moshe Rabbeinu was born on Adar as well. We focus on life. So what do we have over here? It says, since Moshe Rabbeinu died on the 7th of Adar, so it seems to be that maybe the fact of what Moshe was capable of achieving, which was what? To draw God's holy presence into this world. When he passed away, that merit has gone, right? אולם חכמינו זיכרונם לברכה על כך אמרו, ולא היה יודע שבשבעה באדר מת ובשבעה באדר נולד. He says what Haman forgot is that not only did he pass away on the 7th of Adar, but he was also born in Adar. Meaning what? In reality, physically, Moshe is no longer here. Spiritually, he lives forever. This is what a lot of people think, that when somebody dies, they're gone. They're not gone. They're just not here. Their physical part, their suit that they wear on this planet has expired. Their neshama continues, of course, according to its performance in this world. So, a deeper explanation about Moshe Rabbeinu being born on Adar, he says, even though that Moshe Rabbeinu passed away on the 7th of Adar, he was reborn again on the 7th of Adar. Why? Because he becomes renewed or rejuvenated, because he becomes almost like a clothing on all 60,000 souls of Am Yisrael. Meaning what? The fact that he was able to bring Alufo Shel Olam from the 7th heaven all the way down to this world was all through one thing. What was the power that brought Hashem into this world? Esek HaTorah. Because Moshe Rabbeinu was what? Toiling in Torah. That's the power that he had. So when Moshe leaves, does the toiling of the Torah cease? The toiling of the Torah continues. Why? He taught Torah to all the Jews. Right? He's Moshe Rabbeinu. He's our rabbi. He's our teacher. So even though he passed away, did his Torah pass away? No, his Torah continues in his students. So in reality, what was the power of Moshe Rabbeinu? The Torah that he learned, the Torah that he taught, and that's the power that brought HaKadosh Baruch Hu from the seventh heavens all the way to this world. So his power didn't cease, didn't disappear, didn't dissipate. It actually continued because the power of the Torah is what brought Hashem down into this world. So in Masechet Brachot, on the 6th page, on the first side, it says, where do we learn that even if one person sits down and learns Torah, God's holy presence resides on him? Because there's a pasuk in Shemot that says, Bechol makom asher azkir shemi, avo elecha uverachticha. He says, because any place that you come and you mention my name, I will come to you and I will bless you. We see from here that God's holy presence is not exclusive to Bet HaMikdash. It's not exclusive to the Mishkan. God's holy presence comes upon a group, a minyan of people, as we learned in the Tefillah 101 classes, that as soon as there's a minyan of 10 people, there is what? The Shekhinah comes into the synagogue. But we see over here that when there's two people talking Torah, there's a Shekhinah between them. But here, Masechet Brachot reveals to us even one person on his own learning Torah, the Shekhinah resides upon him as well. When we think of the Shekhinah, God's holy presence, we think again, it's an exclusive club. Moshe, Aharon, Kohanim, Leviim, rabbis, Amoraim, Tanaim. Meanwhile, we see that it's available to every single person. How? Through Torah learning. Continues to say, what is so special about the month of Adar? What is so special about it? Well, we said Aleph Dar. Adar is Aleph Dar. That Hashem, God's holy presence, resides on this month, similar to the month of Elul. I'm going to touch a lot of different classes. Anybody who's been to all the classes and I can connect the dots. We said Elul, there's a similar energy to that. Which one? HaMelech Basadeh, right? The king is in the field. In the month of Elul, we have that Hashem is close to us. He wants to hear our teshuvah. 6 months before that is the month of Adar. Aleph Dar. Alufo Shel Olam Dar. God's holy presence is here also. So what do we see from here? Masechet Shabbat on the 88th page on the first side to say, Ki b'matan Torah lo kiblu seilat Torah b'kfiyah. He says that the Jewish people, when they received the Torah in Har Sinai, it was coerced. It was forced upon them, right? Hashem held the mountain over the head. Do you accept the Torah or I drop the mountain on your head? Right? However, in the times of Achashverosh, in the story of Purim, it says that they received the Torah mehava. Remember that the Jewish people kiblu v'kiimu. They received the Torah again, not out of fear, but out of love. And not only did they accept the Torah, they accepted the Torah and the rabbis, the Torah shebechtav and the Torah shebe'al peh. So on the month that happened, on the holiday that it's happened, Hashem says, I have to be down for you. This is the month that I want to be here. Why? This is the strongest expression of love and connection that the Jewish people ever expressed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's the spiritual energy that's available to us this month. And Alufo Shel Olam Dar. Hashem resides. So when it says in this pasuk, V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham, and therefore make me a sanctuary, make me a proper place, and I'll come reside upon you. Is there a better month than Adar to do that? Is there a better month than Adar to create a dwelling place for God's holy presence in your life? No better month. Why? Because everything is in your advantage. The month of Adar is a healthy month. Mazala shel Yisrael bari. It's a month shemarbim b'simcha. It's a month that Alufo Shel Olam Dar. In Elul, it's publicized. HaMelech Basadeh. The king is here. The king is in the field. Here, only a few people that come to our class know what Aleph Dar is. Not everybody knows Shalufo Shel Olam Dar. That Hashem's holy presence is here just in the month of Elul. Only if you come to classes like this, you can pick up and know that this entire month we also have an exclusive VIP experience for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when you say, oh, I want to experience Hashem's, God's holy presence in my life, not a problem. This is the month to do it. Because this is the month that the Jewish people did it thousands of years ago. And why do they do it? Because we said the year is a cyclical year. It's not a timeline. It's a time spiral. And every time that something unique happens on that day, it's infused. That spiritual energy is infused in that day, infused in that month. So as it loops around, we get plugged into it. We've given many explanations to it. But in short, because the Jewish people, Kimu v'kiblu, accepted the Torah and the rabbis in the month of Adar, in the holiday of Purim, that same energy is available to us. And what you want to do is you want to get plugged in. And because of that, Hashem says, Alufo Shel Olam Dar. Hashem comes down and says, I want to feel that energy. I want people to connect. I want people to create for me a dwelling place that I can reside in them. And not only that, I'm not talking about a building. I'm not talking about 4 walls. I'm not talking about gold curtains and all these different things. No, I'm talking in you. I want the Shekhinah to come and reside in you. The building is coming. There's a building fund. Right now, everybody's contributing to the building fund. Everybody's doing a mitzvah, building a brick in the Shamayim, and Be'ezrat Hashem, soon, before we know it, the third Beit HaMikdash will come straight from the heavens and become a spiritual building into a physical building here in Yerushalayim. Amen.
Amen.
But up until then, where's God going to live? Where is He going to live? In the streets? Chas v'shalom. You have to give Him a place.
Inside of us.
Where is God going to live when we don't have that building? Inside of you. Inside of you. How can you create a place that is worthy for God's holy presence in your life? Torah learning. And this is what they say, Mishinichnas Adar, Marbin b'simcha. He says when the month of Adar comes, we increase our happiness. And we know that our happiness comes from Torah learning. And simcha ila Torah. Why? I'll prove it to you. Because when somebody, lo aleinu v'lo alechem, passes away, what is the family members not allowed to do for the first week? They're not allowed to learn Torah. Why? Because it gives joy. Because it gives happiness. From here we learn that Torah gives joy and happiness. That's what Mishenichnas Adar. Marbim besimcha. When Adar comes, we increase Torah. Why? Because that's where our joy and happiness comes from. Oh, so Mishenichnas Adar marbim besimcha. If the month of Adar comes, we increase our happiness. How? Through Torah learning. And all of a sudden, by chance, Hashem is here, Alufo Shel Olam Dar, in the month of Adar, and all of a sudden, there you are. You're a proper vessel for God's holy presence to come into your life. There's the formula. How simple. And it's given to us. There's no secrets. This is not sod. This is pshat. This is basic pshat. There's no high-level learning over here. But the basics are so powerful. The basics are so powerful. They're the foundation of the good service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Continues to say,
I used to learn halacha for Tisha B'Av. Like 5 days is okay, but after it's very hard.
It's even in Tisha B'Av, we're limited to the type of learning that we can have. We go to Imre Noam says something very interesting over here. It says in Sefer Charedim, Ikar mikevon sheshchina belev Yisrael. It says since the Shechina, its main place, main address for God's holy presence is the heart of Am Yisrael, because it says v'shachanti betocham, and I will reside amongst them, or betocham means inside of them. It should have said betocho, inside the building. I will reside inside the building. Hashem was very particular to say to this pasuk, no, I will reside inside of them, to let us know that it's not about a building. Don't go off the derech and say, oh, we don't have Bet HaMikdash, how can I get close to Hashem? Oh, we don't have the Mishkan, how can I get close to Hashem? No, Hashem says, no. It's not an exclusive program to a certain address in Israel. It is readily available to every single person as soon as you make a place for Hashem in your heart and you start to create a proper vessel. V'shachanti betocham. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says from the pasuk, Hashem Elokecha mitalech bekerev machanecha, that Hashem is quote unquote walking or is in the area of where you live. Bekerev machanecha. He says, what's the word kerev? Kerev means inside. So in the pasuk, he's inside your camp. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, no, kerev means bekirbecha. What's bekirbecha? When you say the word bekirbecha, it means in your heart. Where's Hashem placed? In your heart. Therefore, when a person does not sanctify their thought, does not sanctify their speech, does not sanctify their action, machriv hamikdash, he destroys the holy the place of God's holy presence. In other words, physical mikdash is a building. The personal mikdash is in your heart. Bad thoughts, bad speech, bad actions, that mikdash in your heart gets destroyed. He has no place to live. You haven't given him a place to live in your heart. And woe to the one who destroys the sanctuary of his king day after day. In other words, magic formula. How do I build the quote-unquote virtual mikdash, virtual Bet Mikdash in my heart? How do I build that building in Jerusalem in my heart? Easy. Machshavot tovot. You know that song? Diburim tovim. Good thoughts, good speech, good actions builds a virtual Bet HaMikdash in your heart, creates a space for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to come and reside, And there you are. ועשו למקדש ושכנתי בתוכם, you have Shekhinah inside your heart.
It's compared to kili,
It's, yes, that's the vessel.
That's exactly.
How do you build the vessel? You know, like you can say, I want to build a vase. Okay, give me clay, give me water, give me whatever I need, right? How do I build Beit HaMikdash in my heart? Three ingredients. One of them is good speech, good thoughts, good actions. How simple. How simple? Very simple formula. Not so difficult. You don't have to go to a Kabbalah college, learn all the Ramchal and the Arizal, how to do it. Regular pshat, every one of us can do this. Challenge yourself to have good thoughts. Challenge yourself to have good speech. Challenge yourself to have good actions. And look and wait for the results. And wait for the results. The good actions of every single Jew are the cause of God's holy presence to reside upon him. And the more Jews do good deeds, acts of kindness, they are able to now bring God's holy presence to the world in addition to that. Meaning, the journey might start as a personal journey. I want God's holy presence in my life. And that's the way that it should start. Why? Because it's a personal thing, you're invested to it, and it's real and it's genuine. It's something that I want. When you have a want, you have a desire to do. So I want God's holy presence in my life. Good. I'm going to make sure I think positive about everybody. I'm going to make sure to speak positive about everyone. I'm going to interact in a positive way. Clean words, no cursing. And I'm going to make sure to do as many acts of kindness as possible. Okay, I'm in. But then you're in. And she's in. And he's in. And all of a sudden, the energy of good acts, good talk, good speech, good action gets increased in the world. Now we have effect on the world. Now the world is starting to have God's holy presence in it. It's a different world. Right? When Hashem is 7 heavens away, it's not the same way when he's right here. Right? What pushes him away? Facebook, Instagram, internet, Hollywood, improper music, all those things push him away. What brings him closer? Torah classes on Monday nights, Bishloach Manot on Purim, Tzedakot, charity, helping, smiling, helping people.
Special classes for Purim.
Special classes for Purim, Le'ilu Nishmat for people that are no longer with us, connecting mitzvot, acts of kindness. All these things bring Hashem closer. So it starts off individual. As it becomes collective, you start to have an effect on the world. So when you turn on the news and you see all this doom and gloom of all the things that are happening in the world and you want it to change, easy. Start with yourself. Speak properly, think properly, act properly, and you'll see little by little you'll be a magnet to other people that want to be like you or like-minded like you. And before you know it, you see Torah life, Torah lifestyle, beautiful. Being a good person, being honest, being pleasant. We need more people like that in this world. And there's a bonus. It yields like a byproduct. Besides the fact that you get to enjoy a beautiful, peaceful life, the rest of the world gets to benefit from that. A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. There's a lot of darkness in the world. But the light of the Jew is so strong that it pushes a lot of it off. How does it start? It's simple. This is not difficult stuff. It takes time. It takes practice. You have to stay focused, right? The minute something negative comes, stop yourself. Bad thoughts, stop. No, stop thinking about that, right? Wake up in the morning. Okay, how am I doing tzedakah? Who am I helping? Who needs my help? It says about Eshet Chayil. Eshet Chayil. On Friday nights we say it. Look at this amazing woman. This amazing woman called Eshet Chayil. It says about Eshet Chayil. Eshet Chayil Mimtza, right? Pia, this is, it's in the Aleph Bet order, Eshet Chayil, Aleph Bet Gimel Dalet. When you get to the letter Pei, it says, Pia patcha b'chokhmah. Eshet Chayil, this woman of valor, when she opens up her mouth, she opens it up with wisdom. Right? What is it when Eshet Chayil opens up her mouth? What does she say? V'torat chesed aleshona. She talks about acts of kindness. Meaning when she opens up her mouth, Eshet Chayil, she doesn't say, okay ladies, we're going to the mall, you want to go shopping, get our nails done, maybe go to a restaurant? Don't get me wrong, it's all good. Yeah, it's okay to do that. But you know what an Eshet Chayil does when she opens up her mouth? Ladies, our good friend just gave birth today. Let's start a meal train. Ladies, it looks like, the Yiddishkeit over here that's new, it's starting to get a little bit loose. Let's get all the girls in the community and talk a little bit more about longer skirts and about dressing properly. Ladies, it seems like the shul is lacking a little bit in some of its funds. Let's do some sort of tzedakah drive. Ladies, I heard about the lady that's in Hollywood that's not feeling well. Let's see if we can collect some tzedakah. Pia patcha b'chokhmah. She opened up her mouth with wisdom. And when she opens up her mouth, what does she talk about? Torat chesed aleshona. Everything that she talks about is how to do chesed. That's an Eshet Chayil. That's how you start to change the world. Ma'asim tovim makrivim shechina. Good acts of kindness brings God closer to the world. Ma'asim she'enam tovim, acts that are not good. We want to say in a clean language. We don't want to say something else. Marchikim shechina. It's either you're getting closer or further apart. There's nothing in between. It's either there's dveikut and you're getting closer and closer and closer to Hashem, or you're pushing away. Either you're doing everything that's in the Torah and that's allowing you to get closer and to understand Kadosh Baruch Hu, and you're starting to feel the connection and the spirituality that you're searching for, or you're doing everything wrong and you're causing to be further and further away. So sometimes people say, I don't know, I'm not connected, I'm not this. Yeah, it's your actions. You're a product of your choices. When you make bad choices, you push away from you. But when you make good choices, you feel Hashem like He's right here next to you. Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. He's right here all the time. I feel Him. I'm living with Him. He's walking with me. Good acts of kindness bring Hashem the Shekhinah closer. The opposite pushes Him away. Now, the ultimate connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu was during the times of Bet HaMikdash. But since Bet HaMikdash is not with us at the moment, what am I supposed to do? What should I do? Is this something that I have no access to anymore? It says, כשיהודי לומד תורה בהתמדה עצומה, ללא שום הפסקה באמצע, וללא שום הפרעה, it says when a person learns Torah, and he is consistent, and he doesn't stop, like Judah, that has this class going for 8 years now, Chazak Baruch. And not only that, when he learns individually, velo shum hafra, he doesn't let nothing disturb him. Not the phone, not the friend, he's learning. You should know that in that particular moment, he is a Bet HaMikdash. When that person is connected to the Torah, connected to the learning, he is right now a human, a physical Bet HaMikdash. וכל כולו מאוחד עם הקדוש ברוך הוא בתכלית הייחוד. Him and הקדוש ברוך הוא are one. והשם מתגלה עליו ושוכן בתוכו, and Hashem reveals Himself and resides within him. And you're able to really live out the pasuk, ועשו לי מקדש ושכנתי בתוכם. You can really live out this pasuk. Because the Torah learners are the ones that are closest to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. You are right now learning Torah right now. You're the closest people to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is what Hashem wants. Learn how to get closer to me. So why? So you can be close to Hashem. It's like a parent that wants to be close to his children. How much love do you feel for your child when your child says, Ima, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite toy? What's your favorite day? You see, oh my God, look at my child. He's interested in me. He wants to find out. And later on he tells you, Ima, right, pink is your favorite color. Right, you love pasta bolognese. It's your favorite dish. How much love you get when your child knows you. Imagine God. Imagine Kadosh Baruch Hu, how much joy he gets when you're learning about him, when you're trying to get to know him. And you do what he wants you to do. As a parent, you can appreciate it. As a parent, you know what it's like when your child behaves and does and knows and wants to have a connection with you. Not what they're programming on TV and movies over here, which is what? The minute the child turns 12 or 13, parents are the enemy. They don't understand. Can't stand. Oh, my parents, yuck. What do you mean yuck? You brought you into this world, the relationship continues. At 18, they can't wait to run out of the house. Mamash, society's programming kids to hate their parents. As opposed to what? A loving relationship that grows from year to year, from holiday to holiday, from day to day. Children, it's God's gift to you. Hashem gave you a gift, a child. It's not so you can abandon it, let it go, okay, go fly. I mean, don't worry, there's a time and place for everything. But just like as a parent, as a human being, you can understand that concept. Imagine with Hashem. The ones that make an effort to learn Torah, those are the ones that are closest to God. And that is why it's very important to learn and to pray. And to pray. And to pray and to pray and to pray and to not stop praying that us and our children and our children's children and our children's children's children will always be in the way of Torah. That they're all our lives and all their lives will constantly be connected to the source of Emet, source of life, of the Torah Kedusha. Lekach Tov brings something very interesting. Says, in the Psikta it says, I love these like third person, like a camera's in the room where you can see the conversation between God and Moshe. In the Psikta it brings it. It says, "B'sha'ah sh'amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Moshe v'asu li mikdash." When Kadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe, tell them to create for me a sanctuary. Nizdaza Moshe. Moshe trembled. Ve'amar, איך יכול האדם לעשות בה את הקדוש ברוך הוא? How can a human being create a dwelling for God? Meaning, it doesn't make sense. Hashem, the creator of the world, he has everything. Why are you asking a human being to create a sanctuary for you? He didn't get it. He didn't understand it. And he brings a pasuk, that nobody can, quote unquote, support a Kadosh Baruch Hu. A Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need nothing from anything or anybody. He's complete without needing anything from us or from anything from existence. So how can Hashem ask a human being to create a sanctuary for him? Amaru HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he answers, Lo lefi kochi ani mevakesh, ela lefi kocham. He said, don't judge my request according to my abilities. I'm asking you them to build a sanctuary according to their ability. Meaning what? Every single person is going to be able to build a different type of a mikdash, a different type of a dwelling place for Kadosh Baruch Hu. Obviously, somebody who is, toiling in Torah day and night from the day that he's born until 120 years is a certain type of a mikdash. And then there's a person who just started his teshuvah process last year, and that's a certain type of a mikdash. And there's some person that can tolerate Torah learning, and there's some people that can tolerate just halacha learning, and there's some other people that cannot tolerate learning at all, but they can do acts of kindness. And there's some other people that also, each one is limited. Some guy can be a big philanthropist, he can be a big tzedakah guy. One guy can be a big teacher, a big learner. Each one is creating a different type of sanctuary. So And when Moshe Rabbeinu was asking, how can they build it, a sanctuary for you? Nobody can build a sanctuary for you. He says, don't judge it according to my capabilities. I'm saying build a sanctuary according to everybody else's capabilities. Meaning what? Everybody has to learn Torah, but according to their capabilities. As much as a person can learn. You sometimes put, it's like a cup of water. You can pour a glass, and I could take a 5-gallon jug of water and pour it into the glass, and what happens? Past one glass, everything spills over, right? You're not a proper receptacle to everything. So from here we learn, it's better for a person to learn a little bit, and will review the learning that he did over and over, and he'll know it properly. That he understands at least a little bit perfectly. Rather than learn a lot and collect a lot of information and not know et adin al buyo, and not be able to answer any questions or to follow things according to the halachic ruling. In other words, I can be in a class for 35 minutes and I know exactly all the laws of Shakon Yad Gvaro. Right? Or I can be the entire day, 8 days, learning all the halachot of all the brachot. I walk outside, you ask me, what's the bracha on a mushroom? I don't know. What's the bracha on bamba? I don't know. What's the bracha on a banana? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
What's the bracha on bamba?
Chocolate.
Machloket though, but I'll let you slide out.
Chocolate you're sort of safe.
Exactly, it's a good answer. It's like, it's just like you say machloket is a perfect answer. Shakol on brachot is good.
That's what I was told.
Yes. Mushrooms? Mushrooms? So mushrooms is not adama. Because they don't grow on the ground, they grow above the ground, so there's shakol.
But also mushroom is not a vegetable, it's a fungi.
Correct. And banana is not etz. Is what? Adama. So you see, you have to know. So that's what the rabbi is saying over here. It's better. And this is the Chafetz Chaim I'm quoting. He says it's better that you learn a little bit, review it, to know it well so you understand it, rather than to learn a lot and not know how to properly deal with when questions come your way. In other words, that person that learned for a half hour and did it properly, he has a sanctuary. He built Bet HaMikdash in his heart. He has a proper place. He's learning Torah, and he's learning Torah properly. The other person is learning quantity, but where's the quality? See over here that quality is better than quantity. Even when it comes to tefillah, they say, some people, they read Tehillim, they chew it up. You see that? They're reading a book of Tehillim in 45 minutes. How do you do it? It's a 3-hour thing, right? How do you do it? So it says it's better you say a few parakim properly, and you understand what you're saying, rather than just chew up the entire Sefer of Tehillim. Quality over quantity. Continues to say, in Yimrot Noam, another interesting point. Al-Sheikh HaKadosh chimed in on this pasuk. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהכל נהיה בדברו.
Amen.
He says בתוכו לא נאמר אלא בתוכם. He brings the same point that Hashem should live in a building, not inside of them, inside of the people. Hashem brings that same point also בתוכו של כל אחד ואחד מישראל, meaning what? That the whole pasuk, and it says "V'asur mikdash v'shachanti betocham." Mind you, we're reading Parashat Teruma and Tezave. It has everything to do with all the articles that are needed for the Mishkan. The Sheikh says, yeah, but when Hashem says, "Build for me a sanctuary and I'll reside amongst them," you know what He means? Not the Mishkan. Mishkan is like understood. The point of the pasuk is to let you know that I want to reside in you, betocham. And here I want to strengthen the point of what we said before. Sheyesh be'efsharuto shekol Yehudi v'Yehudi. Every single Jew has the capabilities to be a proper vessel to receive God's holy presence, v'lichashev kemikdash me'at, and to be considered a small Bet HaMikdash. Every single Jew. Don't discount yourself regardless of what your spiritual level is. However, somebody who invested the time and was able to elevate himself, to higher levels through learning, those are considered like as if they are the building. Like the mamash, walking Bet HaMikdash. And we see that, Baruch Hashem, in our generations, we have righteous rabbis that every single thought, action, and word is Torah and bringing more people closer to Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is people that said, you know what? My purpose in life is that Hashem finds a dwelling place in me. In me.
Who's the source of that?
Al Sheikh HaKadosh. This is also a very interesting point. It's another distinction of why it started off singular and ended up in plural. It started off in singular, saying mikdash, that's singular, and then it finished with the word saying betocham, in them, that's plural. Single mikdash, plural people, right? So Masechet Ta'anit on the 5th page, on the first side says, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lo avo b'Yerushalayim shel ma'ala, ad she'avo Yerushalayim shel mata. He says, I'm not going to go to the Yerushalayim that's in the heavens until the one that's in below is built out. He says, that's why it says, V'asu mikdash. First, what's the move? First, the Jewish people have to do a mikdash below. Ve'achar kach yavo mikdash shel ma'ala. Then Hashem can go to the Bet Mikdash Shel Ma'ala, and then he'll be v'shachanti betocham, and then I'll be plural in both. Meaning what? The Mikdash that's below, and the Mikdash that's above. V'shachanti betocham, which is what? It's the Mikdash below and the Mikdash that's up above. And how do we build it? We build first the one below, and then the one above.
One physical, one spiritual.
One physical and one spiritual, and this also activates a Kabbalistic concept called Itra'atuta Del'ela and Itra'atuta Delmata, mean the Tata. What's the Del'ela, the Tata? It says that first we have to send an action up to the Shamayim, and then the Shamayim in return sends something down. That's the secret of the Magen David. 2 triangles. What's a triangle? The first one is send something up. Send the tefillah, tzedakah. Send something up to the Shamayim, and in return you shake the heavens. The malachim are like, he did a mitzvah, he did a chesed, things are moving. And Hashem says, what happens?
Wow.
Hashem sends the Sata Deshmaya below.
Wow.
Sometimes when we forget, Hashem reminds us. How do we do that? When there's thunder. Hashem creates thunder. What do you say? Oh, Shmai said. Oh, he says, Baruch Hashem, he said something. Now, sometimes he needs to wake us up to send something up. And we see that this is when he says, Dira Batachtonim. What's Dira Batachtonim? He wanted a dwelling place in this world. So that's why we want first to create a dwelling place for HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. So the Yerushalayim below is lined up with the Yerushalayim that's above. And then V'shachati Betocham. And I will live in both. I'll reside in both. The one that's below and the one that's on top. Yalkut Reuveni brought something very interesting. In regards to Yalkut Reuveni brings. Oh, it's in Shemot. Okay, and here it is. Takes the word v'shachanti. Remember, the pasuk says v'shachanti betocham, right? So, in reality, technically, when did Hashem's holy presence reside with us? 3 times, right? When? In the desert, in the Mishkan, first Bet HaMikdash, second Bet HaMikdash, right? That's the times when we experienced God's holy presence. So Likutei Reuveni takes the word v'shachanti, and I resided. He says, over here we see the number of years of the first Bet HaMikdash and the second Bet HaMikdash. He says, why? The first Bet HaMikdash was 410 years. And so if you look at the word v'shachanti, v'shachen, and I resided, taf yud. What's taf yud? Taf is 400, yud is 10. V'shachen, taf yud. And I resided 410. But the same word, we're going to see the amount of years of the second Bet HaMikdash. The second Bet HaMikdash was 420 years. 10 years more than the first one. And how do we see that? It says, you take the word v'shachanti, and it says you take the word v'shneh, and the years, taf chaf, 420. So you can take the word v'shachanti and take out from there both that the first Bet HaMikdash was 410 and the second Mikdash was 420. As a matter of fact, in this week's parasha, we have that also hinted in Shemen Zayit Zach, the first pasuk of Parashat Tezave. V'ata tetzaveh et bnei Yisrael v'ikhu elecha shemen zayit zach katit lama'or. It says, and command the Jewish people that they should take for you pure olive oil, zach, meaning very pressed. Pure. Katit is pressed. Lama'or, to illuminate the lamp. If you take the word katit, crushed, take that word and cut it in half. Chaf, taf is 420. Yutaf is 410. Katit, when we're going to have the oil for the lamp, katit, 410 and 420. Midrash Or Chadash, and we're nearing the end, says something very interesting, okay? Because there's a famous question. We should have started the class with this, but I thought that this way was better. You tell me, maybe I was wrong. But there's a famous question. The building of the Mishkan, the traveling tabernacle in the desert, was it before or after the sin of the golden calf?
Before.
One vote for before. One vote for after. After, 2-1. Before, 2-2.
No, repeat the question.
Repeat the question.
The building of the Mishkan, the traveling tabernacle that they took with them, the Mizbeach, the menorah, all the Shulchan, Hashem told them to build this before they sinned with the golden calf?
Before.
Or after?
Before.
Before?
Well, it was yeah.
Final answer?
Before.
Surprise
For
us.
me, before.
Surprise us.
Machloket.
You should answer that every time.
Listen to this is very interesting. Midrash Tanchuma brings this. He is asking the question, when was this parasha told, Parashat Truma? Because again, remember, before Parashat Truma is Parashat Mishpatim. Before Parashat Mishpatim is Parashat Yitro. Yitro is Matan Torah, 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
Mishpatim is Ve'ela Mishpatim. It's the continuation of the 10 Commandments. Right after that we get built for Bia Mishkan. So it seems like Matan Torah, continuation of the explanation of the laws, and then the building of the Mishkan. So Midrash Tanchuma asks, when was this parasha of the Mishkan told? Answer, Yom HaKippurim Atzmo, in Yom Kippurim. What's the problem with that? Yom Kippurim is a very famous day because it's the third time that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the heavens and came down with the second set of luchot, which means what? In Shavuot, Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the heavens for 40 days and 40 nights. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, go down, your people are sinning. He sees the golden calf. He breaks the luchot.
Yeah.
Comes up to the Shamayim and asks for another 40 days, asks for forgiveness. comes back in Yud Zayin Tammuz. And in Yud Zayin Tammuz, he tells the Jewish people, I'm going back up again. Hashem is going to give us a second set of luchot. Comes Yud Tishrei, another 40 days after, the third 40-day process. And Yom Kippurim, Moshe Rabbeinu comes and says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave us, and here's the second set of luchot. So let's ask the question again. The building of the Mishkan, when was it? Before or after Matan Torah? If it was given on Yom Kippurim, it's not after Matan Torah. It's 120 days later. Or you could say the second Matan Torah. On Yom Kippur, when he gave it for the second time, then it was told. On Yom Kippurim. Nevertheless, we know that the date that it was given, Yom Kippurim, just to strengthen our point again about the cyclical year, why every Yud B'Tishrei we go to shul and bang on our chest and say, forgive us Hashem? Because that's the day that Hashem forgave us. And because Hashem forgave us for the sin of the golden calf on Yom Kippurim, it's a day that's embedded in it is forgiveness. It's the Day of Atonement. And that's why specifically on that day, we go and ask for atonement. Because that's the spiritual energy of that day. Similarly as every other spiritual prime time that we talk about. Something happened on that day that etched the spiritual essence of that day, and we try to plug into it. It's available the same way. And by the way, we learned that from Megillat Esther, that we said that those days they come back around. And let's see if I have that pasuk over here. But the source for that, the source of why we actually come back all the time to that day, and we know that spiritual energy is available on that day. Thank you, Hashem. פרק ט', פסוק כ"ח. והימים האלה נזכרים ונעשים בכל דור ודור. And these days, they come back around again, and they're remembered. Whatever happened on that day gets remembered, meaning it comes back again, that spiritual energy. ונעשים, and the maaseh, the action of that day is able to be repeated again. בכל דור ודור, in every generation. The whole idea of spiritual energy that's available on a certain day to be plugged into it is from Megillat Esther as well. You should know that's the source for that concept. Okay, we continue. It says that even though the Parashat Mishkan comes before Maaseh HaEgel, meaning we're going to read about Maaseh HaEgel when? Next week. And we have the Maaseh of the Mishkan this week and last week. So it's telling us that even though that in the Torah, the building of the Mishkan precedes the Chet HaEgel, from here we learn a huge concept about Torah learning, which is En Mukdam U'Meuchar B'Torah. There's nothing early or late in the storyline of the Torah. Meaning something that I can read in Devarim could easily be somewhere else happened before. Meaning, the Torah is not chronological.
Exactly.
It's not something that is like a diary.
Exactly. Yeah.
Things are written in a certain place at a certain time for a certain reason, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it happened there. So even though that we have the building of the Mishkan before Chet HaEgel, it doesn't mean that it happened before. What do we have over here? We have here now a very big question, which is the building of the Mishkan to atone for the golden calf? Or is the building of Mishkan a way to get closer to Kadosh Baruch Hu? What's its true essence? If it's because of the golden calf, then that's why we have it. And that's why he told us to build it. It's a way to atone for the golden calf. Or is it that without the golden calf, without Chet HaEgel, there's a concept of the Mishkan, which is a place where Hashem resides, His holy presence is there, and it's a way for us to connect. That's the question. Let's start to get 3 answers. Midrash Tanchuma says that the Mishkan is only because of Chet HaEgel. ואילולא חטא העגל כביכול לא היו מצווים על עשיית המשכן. And if it wasn't for the sin of the golden calf, they would not be commanded to build the משכן הקדוש ברוך הוא. Why? Because Hashem כביכול לא היה מבקש לעשות לו מקדש כדי שישכן אותו. He wouldn't have asked for a place to be, for his God's holy presence to reside. Meaning, Midrash Tanchuma says that the reason why we have the Mishkan is because they sinned with the golden calf, and the way to atone for the sin of the golden calf was the Mishkan.
The golden calf happened earlier than Mishkan, before Mishkan.
So let me just give you a background, okay? A little kaf zchut about those people. How is it possible that the nation that saw 10 plagues, that saw the splitting of the sea, that pointed and said, that's how they saw God. They saw, they were in Har Sinai, they witnessed Matan Torah. How can that generation be what? The one that built a golden calf and they worshipped it. So there's a kaf zchut learning that says that when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the heavens for 40 days and 40 nights, he was late by a few hours. They got very nervous because they didn't know how to interact with the Kadosh Baruch Hu without an intermediary. Why? Because in the time of the 10 Commandments, HaKadosh Baruch Hu uttered the first 2 commandments from himself. All the Jewish people died twice. They had to put on them the dew of resurrection so they can come back. And then after that, they said, Moshe Rabbeinu, please, we can't do this anymore. Please, you continue from here, because every time we hear God's name, we drop dead. That's why we say, Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Torah tziva lanu Moshe. What's Torah tziva lanu Moshe? If you take the numerical value of the word Torah, it's 611. How many mitzvot we have in the Torah? 613. Because Moshe Rabbeinu gave it a 611. 2 were from God. And that's why Torah tziva lanu Moshe. 611 were from Moshe. 2. So when they saw that Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't coming down, they said, wait, we need an intermediary, because the last time Hashem spoke directly to us, we dropped dead. What did they do? They said, when we looked at the heavens and we saw Hashem at the splitting of the sea, what did we see? We saw God's holy throne. And we know that on God's holy thrones, there's 4 images. There's one of a lion, there's one of an ox, there's one of an eagle, and one of a human being. So they saw the one that had the ox. They said, remember there was an ox? Let's build an ox, and it'll be our intermediary, someone in between us and Hashem. Kaf zchut, they wanted to just have somebody to replace Moshe. Obviously, they were wrong. Obviously, that was only the de'ah of the Erev Rav. It's not the real Jews that did that. But nevertheless, that's what happened. So they built that. So comes Moshe Rabbeinu and tells them to build a Mishkan. Why? He says, you guys think that the only way to interact with God is if I'm here. After 120 years, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to the heavens. Moshe is not going to be here forever. So what is going to be the intermediary between God and the Jewish people? The Mishkan. The Mishkan. You have an apparatus that allows you to interact with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. If you sin, you bring a korban. Korban comes from the word kiruv, closeness, right? And then the other pasuk, and then the other function of a mishkan or bet hamikdash is to bring korbanot shelamim, korbanot sacrifices of a Thanksgiving sacrifice. So you have a way to get close by saying thank you, and you have a way to say I'm sorry when you did something wrong. So if I'm not here, you have a mishkan. Makes sense if you think that the mishkan came after Chet HaEgel, because they needed it as an intermediary between them and God. Right? Okay.
Why don't remove the idol worship right away? Why so complicated?
What?
Replace it, Remove the idol worship. That's it, no problem. Don't have to find another way.
What they did, well, it was destroyed. Moshe Rabbeinu, he ground it up into pieces, put it into the water. They all put on their lips. But nevertheless, we can see the point that the Mishkan was brought to atone for the golden calf, because they thought it was an intermediary, and Moshe Rabbeinu says you don't need that intermediary. We have a different type of apparatus for you to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mechilta brings a different outlook on it. He says,
What does it mean?
it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the Mishkan and Bet HaMikdash long before Chet HaEgel as a way for the Jewish people to stay close. Because we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before they left, left Egypt, it said, there's a pasuk that says, "Atem reitem asher asiti leMitzrayim." You saw what I did to Mitzrayim. V'asai etchem al kanfei nesharim. I lifted you on the wings of eagles. V'avi etchem elai, and I brought you to me. The Midrash says, you know what happened over there? Before they left Egypt, HaKadosh Baruch Hu took all the Jews, brought them to Bet HaMikdash, and tells them, this is where I'm going to bring you, and he brought them back. Meaning the whole concept of Bet HaMikdash was long before Chet HaEgel. He already showed them that there's going to be a place where we are going to be able to connect. So we have now the Midrash Tanchuma that says that it was for Chet HaEgel. Midrash Mechilta says no, that it was there already before. But in reality, what it means to us today, us right now, 2023, Tavshin Pei Gimel, what is this whole concept? Ve'asu li mikdash ve'shachanti betocham. He says that the whole purpose of the Mishkan or Bet HaMikdash is for God's holy presence to reside in it. And the only reason why it's there is so the Jewish people can go and get strengthened in their belief in Hashem. Meaning, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and sanctifies the Jewish people, He brings them closer. How? We were commanded to come to the Bet HaMikdash 3 times a year. Let's step into their shoes. You leave your house and you start to walk. Either with a donkey or with a horse or with an ox or whatever it is, and you're bringing your bikurim, or you're going for Pesach, or you're going for Sukkot, whatever the 3 Shosha Regalim are, and you're walking thousands and thousands and thousands of Jews, all going where? To get to Bet HaMikdash, all to do where? To bring korbanot, all to do what? To get close to Hashem, all to do what? To have faith, to believe that everything that in our life is for the best thing, and it all comes from Hashem. Like, why would you leave your house? Why would you leave your house and do all that if it's not to get close to God, right? It's like, imagine I get up and tell my wife and my kids, let's go, we're walking to Orlando. Why? We're going to go visit Mickey. The kids are all about it. Yeah, Mickey, we want to go, right? A little kid is going to get drawn to that. Us as Jews, we get up and we go, where are we going? To visit Hashem. We're going to Bet HaMikdash, and we're all walking miles and miles and miles with animals and children and bikurim on our thing. Why? Because when we get there, we see Bet HaMikdash, and we bring the korbanot, and we feel God's holy presence in Yerushalayim, it gives us faith. It gives us strength. It gives us emunah. We feel connected. And that's the whole thing. A connected Jew living a Jewish life with God at the centerpiece, at the center point of his life. That's why you get up and you walk hundreds of miles just to sacrifice an animal 3 times a year. Because it gave you the strength, it gave you the power, it gave you the connection to the source of all life, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And during that time, when a person goes over there in the whole environment of Bet HaMikdash and the Jews that are there, he's able to sort of be like a sponge and draw all this emunah into his life, and it gives him power for the entire upcoming year. And this is a feeling that nowhere could be experienced except for Yerushalayim in Israel during the Shosha Regalim. So now, what do we have? What do we have over here? We see that the Mikdash, whether it was the Mishkan or Bet HaMikdash, whether it's a building or whether it's inside of us, what the whole purpose of God's holy presence is for us to get connected to it. And the more you get connected to it, you're able to go through this journey on this world, because we are spiritual beings on a physical journey. We're in a neshama that's eternal. We're here today, gone tomorrow, and we go to another world and a different world, and we live to eternity. But while we're here, we're challenged. We're in a body. We also have an evil inclination. So how are you supposed to win this game called life? How are you supposed to win this journey? You need kochot. You need itchaskut. You need all the powers, all the advantages that you can get in order to pass, or shall I say, even say, win this life. As a Jew, we have things to get plugged into. During the time of the Mishkan or Bet HaMikdash, we had the Shlosha Regalim. Now, I have to build the Mikdash in my heart. That's how I'm going to get strong. That's how I'm going to have emunah. And how do I do it? I learn Torah. And the more Torah I learn, the more I know how to connect, the closer I feel to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the more you feel your true essence as a Jew. And the more you understand exactly what your purpose is in this life. And you're not lost, you're found. And you have direction and purpose. And you don't have things that pull you away. And you become like a 50-50 Jew. Half the day I'm like, Anthony, and half the day I'm like Yoshua. Like one day I act like a goy, half the day I act like a Jew. No, you start to get, you bring Hashem closer in the morning, you push him away in the afternoon, in the night you bring him closer, before you go to sleep you push him far, with the phone, the TV, it's like this. It's like 5 steps forwards, 4 steps back. So the whole idea over here is to find a way to bring Hashem close. How? Simple. Machshavot tovot, good thoughts. Diburim tovim, good speech. Maasim tovim, good acts of kindness, and you've created a vessel. And now Hashem says, now this is a place for me to reside. And believe me, when you have a life where Hashem is part of your life, where He's in your home, He's in your business, He's in your relationship, He's in your family, it's a different world. Just like it was a different world for the Jewish people when they were in the desert. Just like it was a different world when Hashem was there for the first Bet HaMikdash and the second Bet HaMikdash. You could have a different world in your own home, in your own life, in your day-to-day. So in conclusion, we're in the month of Adar. Alufo shel olam, God, Dar, is here living with us. Meaning He already gave us an advantage. I'm here already. Right? The only thing is He's on the outside of you. What's left? Bring Him in. How? Learn Torah. How? Apply the Torah. And over here we got 3 very, very basic instructions that are easy to do, but need focus and concentration. Anything in life needs practice. You go to the gym for 1 day, you're not going to get the 6-pack. You go for 6 months, you'll see a difference. A lot of people have anger issues. One anger management class doesn't take care of it. 1 year changes you. A lot of things that people struggle with, if you don't make an effort, there's no change. Similarly, in spirituality, if you put in the front of your head right here, I'm only going to have good thoughts. I'm only going to have good speech. I'm only going to do acts of kindness. And it's in the front of your head that it's like a filter, that nothing happens. Nothing continues with the day until you pass it through this filter. Is it machshavot tovot? Is it maasim tovim? Is it diburim tovim? Yes? Good. Continue. And every single thing, what happens in the beginning, it's work. After a week, easier. After a month, it's easy. After 40 days, it's second nature. A person can change their nature after doing something for 40 days. You can add something to your life or take away something from your life by concentrating on it for 40 days. You want to not get angry anymore? 40 days don't get angry. Anger won't be an issue anymore. You want to be a tzaddik. You want something that you want to add to your life in spirituality. Be makpid on it for 40 days, it becomes part of you in 40 days. Second nature. Similarly is this. If we really are religious, if we really are interested in developing a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if we really want to finally get there, how many years are we just going to be okay, I keep Shabbat, I eat kashrut, and I have my 1 hour a day that I learn. Okay, how long are you going to be on that level? When are you going to go to the next level, like you 2.0? When are you going to start to do something different in order to push your experience, your understanding, and your level of spirituality? Well, it's only when you put an effort into it. Like now, we learned a nice little, cute little lesson. Take it, apply it, and you never know. This might be the thing that shifts you and changes your whole outlook for the next rest of your life. And then comes another rabbi, comes another class, and all of a sudden they give you another tip. Oh, that's you 3.0. And another 2 years from now, another rabbi comes and gives you another tip. Oh, that's you 5.0. We are human beings. We are Bnei Adam. Why is he called Adam? Because he comes from the Adama. He was made from dirt, from the ground. What's the nature of dirt? You put something in it and it grows, right? That's our nature. Our nature is growth. We're called Bnei Adam because we come from the Adama. And because we come from the Adama, it's in our nature to constantly be in a state of growth. So when we have the ability to grow, you have to put your effort into it. Otherwise, you're going to stay stagnant. And in Judaism, there's no being stagnant. It's either forward or reverse. So it's good to take some time that is easy, apply it, and I always say, if you are fully successful, amazing. But if you got 50%, it's 50% better than what you were before. 10%, even better. 5%, great, you have one mitzvah more than what you did before. It's always an upgrade no matter what you do. So Be'ezrat Hashem, do we matzlichim to, first of all, be besimcha, to bring Hashem closer into our lives and to build a sanctuary for Him in our heart. And that Be'ezrat Hashem, we individually and collectively be able to bring Hashem, which from whatever rakia He's in right now, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, to bring Him closer so we can experience in our lifetime a reality with God, having a dira b'tachtonim, that like the way it was from the beginning of time. The same way that Hashem is in the heavens, He's right here with us. It's a great reality that is available to all of us. The only thing is, not everybody's invested in that venture. But a little bit of light disperses a lot of darkness. You'd be surprised when a few Jews take upon themselves, we tilt. The dark side and the light side are always at a war, but the light side has to just make a little bit of a push, and it pushes away a lot of dark, because we have emet on our side. They're on the side of sheker. Sheker doesn't have a leg to stand on. Everything with us is super powerful, because it all comes from a place of holiness. So Be'ezrat Hashem, that we matzlichim in our personal life, in our collective effort as a nation, and the Be'ezrat Hashem, that we be able to be, in the month of Adar, to be besimcha, v'mishenichnas Adar, marbi besimcha, which is what? A little bit more Torah. A little bit more Torah. A little bit more Torah changes a lot, pushes away a lot of darkness. Be'ezrat Hashem, that we are able to see you at our next class, which is Tefillah 101 on Thursday. And please, next Sunday, come join us in our, dare I say, our good friend, Yudit Ben Shabbat, who is going to do an amazing class on Sunday. Super, super interesting class. The Gilgulim of Esther, Mordechai, and Haman. Very, very interesting. I can tell you, I've been saving this class for many, many years. I don't know. I have many classes that have been sitting on my desk for 2.5 years, 3 years, and they're all starting. The missing piece is coming. The missing piece. The one for Nisan, I'm telling you, the class for Nisan is a nuclear explosion, like this big mushroom cloud of a class.
It's my month.
Be'ezrat Hashem, Hashem Baruch Otchem, V'sameach Otchem, and Be'ezrat Hashem, this class will be to the Ilui Nishmat of David ben Zohara, Yaniv ben Reina, Michel ben Zohara, Viv ben Vivi, all the people that are on my list. Forgive me that I didn't bring my list. Also to the Refuah Shlema of Avi ben Violet, Amram ben Zohara, Refuah Shlema. Anybody else for Refuah? Miriam Bat Pesi Penina. And just call out the names. There was somebody else for Refuah. And for the general success, health, wealth, happiness for all the people that are here. I really, truly appreciate you guys leaving your home, staying in shul for an hour and 15 minutes, learning Torah together. Shashem Baruch Otchem, Sameach Otchem, as they say, Lefum Tzara Agra. The more that there's a challenge, the more that there is a reward. And for those of you that are walking home, there's Char Psiyot, every step home, and every step here is also a reward for it. Rashi's opinion. Okay? Kol tuv, lebracha v'atzlacha, and we'll see you on Sunday.